I want to speak about our brother, 11-year-old Noah Bush down there in Georgia. If any of the family remembers, he was the young brother who was drowned by two young white supremacists. The young white supremacists have been, both of them let out of jail, truth be told. They was only sentenced to about 2 years, and they didn't even serve that. The charges were weak to begin with. They got simple assault and involuntary manslaughter. So those charges are weak. They don't hold no time, no way. And this goes back to the system of racism, white supremacy, and those double standards, racialized standards, I call them, that exist inside the so-called justice system between white people and black people, because white people are held to a different judging mechanism than black people. Most times, 9 times out of 10, black people are given more harsher and steeper, punishment than our white counterparts. You know what I mean? Because this is a bunch of nonsense, and you could bet your last dollar that if this had been two black young brothers who, drowned and racialized, targeted, and drowned, because they were hurling racial slurs at our young brother Noah, as well. And if this would have been a young two young black brothers who done this, throw racial slurs around, at a white youth, and drowned him and took his life, they'd be thrown up under the jail and given the max. You could bet your last dollar on that. Now our brother Noah Bush's mom is outraged over this injustice, and clear case of white supremacy, and so am I. So I got the audio and the video of this nonsense, and we're gonna walk through and talk about it how we do normally, family. Fair use.
Developments tonight in the horrific death of 8-year-old Noah Bush in Wayne County. He was drowned to death in a clay pit, and a 10 and 11-year-old who were responsible for killing him. They were sentenced to 2 years confinement back in August. Our Madeline Bierster sat down for an exclusive.
And they didn't even get that. It's a clear case of white supremacy doing what it does best, looking for and coddling and pampering their own, looking out for their own people. Because in the system of racism, white supremacy, they view these young degenerates as their own children. So they ain't going to hold them to no, harsh punishment. But let's continue.
Interview with Noah Bush's mother today. She joins us now live in the studio after the 11-year-old has been released from the custody of the Department of Juvenile Justice. Madeline, what is the very latest on this case? How did this happen?
Well, Don, we're learning now less than 7 months into that 2-year sentence, an 11-year-old who was convicted in connection with Noah's death has been released from the Department of Juvenile Justice.
A letter addressed to Noah's mom and Noah, dated February 24th, informing them that the 11-year-old charged in Noah's killing has been released from DJJ after less than 7 months of his sentence.
The blood is on their hands.
Noah's mother says this is a slap in the face to what she calls an already unjust punishment of just 2 years for his death.
Until my last breath, I will always fight for justice for Noah.
It was 186 days to be exact from when those two boys were arrested till when this child was released. According to the family, they do believe the 10-year-old was released as well. The DJJ said they cannot confirm or
See, both of them have been released, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations and the authorities down there in Georgia said they can't tell if both of them been released because they younger, this, that, and the other, and I think that when younger people commit these atrocities, and take the life of people, they're whatever goes on with the logistics of their case, it should be brought out to the public. The public should be made known about this because they was grown enough to take a life, and racially targeted our brother, hurled around that N-word with the hard ER like it was going out of style. They should be held to some kind of punishment, but they ain't going to punish these kind of degenerates because the system of racism, white supremacy views them as their own. The charges were weak that they put on them to begin with because in all actuality they knew they was going to let these young white supremacists go.
or deny that because of juvenile confidentiality. The DJJ also tells me since the two boys were sentenced to a 2-year commitment, that can mean in custody in a facility or out in the community.
I was told that they would be gone for at least 2 years. It's been less than a year. My son hasn't been buried an entire year, and his killer is already out just walking the streets, living a normal life as if nothing ever happened.
The Wayne County Sheriff tells me they weren't aware that these two kids were released either until one of their deputies saw the 11-year-old at a family member's house.
Wayne County and the state of Georgia truly failed my family. This is not justice. I feel like more time should have been given to these juveniles, and I do believe that at least one of the two will most definitely reoffend.
I reached out to the Wayne County School Superintendent to ask if these two boys would be allowed back into the school system. Superintendent Tony Williams told me, quote, "We follow state law." I asked several follow-up questions and was still told the same answer repeatedly. We follow state law. The laws we have to educate students.
I am in fear for other people's children if they are released back into the school system. I know there are a lot of other parents that are outraged and they're worried.
Yeah, but I clearly agree with our sister in saying that, you know, this is clearly injustice. And it goes back to that racism, white supremacy thing and those racialized standards that exist inside the so called justice system between white people and black people. You know, this is clearly white supremacy doing what it does best, looking out for and protecting its own, because they view these young degenerates as their own children. So they wasn't never going to hold them to no punishment, sadly and unfortunately. But I want to say RIP to our young brother, Noah Bush. May he rest easy, and my condolences goes out to his friends and family. Just my thoughts on the matter, but this is clearly white supremacy rearing its ugly head. Peace.